Let's start today's lesson. Today we're going to make a moon toy. And let's try to add a sphere in the middle. Right click, mesh, sphere. And we don't need the environment object, so we delete the environment as form in the stage view. And here we change the light setting into default. If we change it into the stage lights, actually there's no lights in the environment. So we change it to default to make the ball visible. Next, we add the material to it. Create material and Omni glass. Because we want to add the light in the middle of the ball to make the moon shiny, so this time we need the glass material. So let's try to find the texture of the material. I'll put this texture in the links below the description of this video. And this is the moon's texture. So we drag it into the glass color texture. And also we drag this one on the depth map into the roughness. And we can try to adjust the roughness to make the to play with the different settings. And the most important thing is to clean the scene world. This enables the glass sphere to model the single plane. So let's click it. And right now you can see that it is too dark for the moon. So we need to add a light here. So let's try to lower the glass IOR to make it less shiny. So here you can see that there's no light in the moon. So we need to add light in the middle of the moon. So let's try to change another rendering method. Let's try RTX interactive path tracing. So it is better. And right click the right sphere and add a light, a sphere light under it. So create light and sphere light. So now you can see that the light is like this on the sphere light. Let's try to adjust the property. So since it is not actually a sphere light, we only want a light point in the middle. So under the property of light, we treat the light as a point. And right now we can see that we have a shiny moon. We can adjust the intensity a little bit to make it less shiny. And this is a shiny moon. Let's add some other objects into the scene. Right click, create, mesh, and cube. So adjust the cube's location a little bit and the size of it as well. And let's add another material to the cube. So I would like to add a concrete rough and click the cube and right click the concrete rough, apply to select it. And also we may change the color of this material as well. In my opinion, I like to choose a blue one. So it looks nice, right? So let's add another background to it. Right click, create, and mesh, and plane. And rotate the plane into 90 degrees to make it vertical, and put it as the background, and just scale the size to make it larger. And here you can see that there's only one sphere light, but there's probably some light from the default setting. So we change the default light setting into stage light. And now you can see that this is the only light source. It is too dark, and we probably need to add another light. Create light, and as this time we try to use the rectangle light, and adjust the position of the rectangle light, and to make it like this, and also give a material to the plane. Right click, create material Omni PBR. So Omni PBR is just like the default material in the scene. So we can change the color into the dark red. Okay, it looks better. So our final step is to rotate the moon. So how can we do it? So there are several ways. The first method I can think is to write a script, but it's more than complicated. So in this lesson, I like to choose the action graph. So let's try the action graph by clicking right button, create, video scripting, and action graph. The lazy graph is a static graph, but we need the push graph. So the push graph updates the property at each second. And action graph is the combination of lazy graph and push graph. And let's try action graph. If we want to rotate on the moon, we need to get the property or the attribute of the prime, right? So let's see read prime attribute. So first we read the rotation of the moon. So the moon is a sphere, and the attribute name is its rotation rotate x y z. So after getting this value, so it is vector 3. We have to break the vector 3 into each dimension. Break vector 3. And here so we have three floats x, y, and z. And each time we want to add some value to the y rotation to make the moon rotate vertically. So we can add a constant float, and we can change the float value into 1.0 and add them together, add a value and y together by adding a node add. So here we can add them together by connecting them. And after getting the sum, we can update the vector by making a vector 3. So we don't need to change x and z dimension. So the only thing we are updating is the y dimension. So after updating this vector, we need to write the prime attribute, right? To write that attribute to update its rotation. So write prime attribute. Here we can choose the target as sphere, and attribute name is the same, is rotate x and y, z. So we put the vector into the value for updating, and right now we can see that after playing, there's nothing happening because we need to specify the condition of this graph. So we need to make this play button as a trigger. So we add a node called onTick. Right? OnTick. This node can make the action graph update every second or every updating step after playing. So each state we write the prime attribute. So we can see what we have now. And you can see that the moon is rotating now. So probably it's rotating too fast. We have to bring down the value of this constant. Let's say 0.5. And now you can see that we have a rotating moon. And we can also try to render a video or render snapshot by clicking Window, Rendering, Movie Capture. So let's make sure that we are in the path tracing mode. We can compare the real time and path tracing. So in this time, so since we have glass material, we probably need to change into interactive path tracing to make it right. So we have a moon and we can capture the current frame. Okay, that's all for today's lesson. Hope you enjoy it.